Islam. First, I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe. I give honor to his last and holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to all the things that the prophet brought for uplifting fallen humanity. I give honor to tonight's show and to our guests. I give honor to all of you who are watching and all of you who are listening. Welcome back to Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. Tonight's topic, building integrity. I am Sister N. Greer Ill, Temple 71, Washington, D.C.
Islam. My name is Sister A. Ravin Obey. First off, I give praise to the great God of our Father of the universe, the great God Allah. I give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And I give honor to everyone that is here listening with us and joining us in this conversation, to everything our Sister Greer Ill has given honors to. My name is Sister A. Ravin Obey from Temple number 21 in Brooklyn, New York. And we're excited today because we get to bring a guest with us, and her name is Sister J. Jordan Eel, and I'd love for her to introduce herself.
Islam. I'm Sister
Um,
J. Jordan Eel from Temple 34 in Brooklyn, New York. Um, and I just wanted to thank you for inviting me on here. Just wanted to give praise to Allah, honors to His holy prophet, and extend honors to the forerunner, to the prophet, Brother Marcus Garvey, and to all true and divine prophets of Allah. I wanted to also give honor to all the leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America and past and present, as well as all state and local officials in their offices and stations, and their assistants. And I wanted to give honors to my Grand Sheikh of Temple 34, Brother Y. Cyrus Eel. And with that, I say peace.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, sister, for being here and being in this conversation. We're about to get into it.
Let's do it.
And we're about to talk about some integrity. So let's just start with the first easiest question. What is integrity?
Islam. Let me tell you, integrity is such a wonderful word because many of us think about it. We've heard it before, and it means so much. It's like a heavy word, right?
Islam, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I think we lost Sister Jordan Neal on that one. So Sister Grael, you want to try to answer what is integrity until we get her back on for a minute?
Sure. So, integrity. Well, integrity deals with morals and values. Basically, you draw a compass around your passions, and you do what is right.
Mm.
Draw a compass around your past. Draw a circle around. I'm sorry, draw a circle around your past.
Mm.
Um, you do what is right. You live in your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
That takes with some of us that takes work and process. It takes a process to get to the point where we are practicing integrity.
Mm-hmm. Praise Allah. Yeah. I was looking at the definition of it, and I'm gonna read it here. It was saying that it's really about being honest, upright, having honor, the quality of being honest, strong moral principles. Uh,
Mhm.
and so, when I hear those words, strong moral principles, I think about, it's about doing what's right and standing firm in it, standing firm within it and knowing who you are and what you are. So that's
Wow.
what I think about it. I think Sister Jordan will probably join in when she gets reset. So let's just keep the conversation going. And for those that are
All
watching,
right.
tell us what your thoughts are on what integrity means to you.
All right. So share, if you can, a moment in time where you saw areas of your life that you knew you needed to work on in order to possess integrity.
Hmm. A time in my life where I knew I needed to possess integrity. I'll speak to work actually a bit. You know, in my
I'm sorry.
past.
Let me reread that.
Go ahead, and give me a second to join Neil's back.
Praise Allah.
Okay.
Praise Allah.
All right, good. So you're going to catch the question. So share, if you can, a moment in time where you saw areas of your life that you knew needed to work on in order to possess integrity.
Mm.
Sister Reverend.
Okay. Areas in your life where you needed to work on integrity. Right?
No,
So,
where you needed to work on in order to possess integrity.
okay.
Pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna still go with, I'm thinking about some thoughts around work. You know, sometimes when you're in an environment where people let the rules slide, or people are rewarded for not being honest, it's really a test. I can speak for me. It could be a test of
Mm-hmm.
how you going to act, and how are you going to be. So I can say specifically, there definitely were times where, um, I had to realize how important it was for me to have my principles in order to figure out how I was going to move in a different situation. So I'm thinking about, I used to work at a bank a long time ago, and a bank, you think of, that's a place where you're supposed to be honest. It's people's money, you're dealing with people's money, dealing with people and customers, etc. And I used to manage a branch, and part of not just the going and flowing of the money, but part of it was also getting new customers. There's a sales component to it. And you would see people like, I'm thinking about specific. I was a manager, and I remember this one person would always have these amazing numbers, and I'm like, how are they doing this? How are they putting these things in the person next to them? And I'm focusing on the person that's not doing as well, thinking I need to help coach her, get her up, not realizing that actually I probably should be digging into the person who is just so much better. um, and it made me realize, like, oh, I need to make sure I'm setting standards of how we're supposed to always be ethical, how we treat customers and how we treat people, and how we're supposed to report things. And it shouldn't be for selfish gain. And you're supposed to be honest, and you can do well. I always had this rule with our team. It's like, we're going to play fair and we're going to win well. That's the way it works. We're not going to do it any other way. And I feel like there it's always difficult because people can be motivated for different reasons, particularly when it comes with money, and people are trying to game systems to do it. So that's what I think a lot about when you ask that question, sis.
Okay.
Can I answer that?
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to just, I thought about that question that you just shared, and I was thinking from a school perspective, because I definitely understand the job perspective, but from the school perspective also, I was thinking about, we learn, not to cheat on exams. We learn, to do our work and work hard and excel. And so I just remember, I'm thinking, the question is to recall in a moment in time where I saw an area of my life that I knew I needed to work on in order to possess integrity. And that, I think, for me, is law school. And there you are challenged and pushed individually every day, kind of testing that integrity. So people will try to find ways around it. They'll buy the outlines, they'll buy the cheat sheets, they'll get with whoever, sit with and study with whoever took the class before, get all the notes and try to find the tests. If you took the tests, the answers. And so, honestly, the answer is hard work. And I thought about that because that's really something. School and education is really a time where we're really challenged about integrity, and the easy way or the hard way. And so that's going to come up often, I think, in the discussion, whether you want to work hard for something or if you want to just get it the easy way. And I think integrity speaks to consistency and
Mm.
truth. If we want to pick five, one of the five principles, it speaks to truth. And so with that, I say peace.
Praise God. Well, um, there was an area that I definitely needed to work on, just because it was a bad look and it was a bad feeling. I had a fiance that passed away at the age of 44. He had a heart attack,
Mm.
and I was so in love with him. We got together, um, like in my 72nd day freedom from self-destruction. Right. And I remember my father telling me when I was about 13 or 14, I think I was about 13. He said, if a knucklehead can't take care of you like I can, don't you mess with him. Right. He said, make sure he take care of you right here too. And he was pointing in my chest to my heart. Right. And this brother, Michael, um, he was really, really close to that. So when he passed away, I went through different changes. Like either I was eating a lot or shopping a lot or trying to find comfort in the arms of a man. And this happened over a course of months, right? And I remember not feeling any better when I left them, feeling pretty much the same way when I left them as I felt when I met up with them. And I was like, this is not working. And I started to just feel ugly and disgusting on the inside all over again. I was like, this is not this ain't it, you know. So my 12-step coach at the time said to me, you don't want to look up in a meeting and you have been with more than one or two people in that meeting. You don't want to become the basket in that meeting. You don't want to become the basket in this fellowship. And I'm so grateful for that message because it kind of sat me down and made me think about what do I really want to do? I want to live like this. Sure, I am filling a void, but there's other ways to fill voids. But you know, I was pretty much new to living healthy, so I didn't know what avenue to take at that particular time. I was just new to living healthy, being healthy, thinking healthy, doing the right thing because it's just the right thing. So that was one of the times that I remember I had some work to do.
Mm. Praise Allah. This is Jordan. I know before we didn't hear your answer to what does integrity mean. So you got cut off like right on the first sentence. So if you want to share that, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. I was just saying that I've come across it before in college, starting college when I started to study ethics and in philosophy. And so when you're studying philosophy, you're going to hear a lot of work about people's thoughts on what's right and what's wrong, and what should be, what shouldn't be, and how to get there. And so I was thinking
Mm,
that I looked at the definition of integrity, which is defined as being consistently honest and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical principles and values, which is like asking, are you a decent person? So I'm saying that in a simple way because who knows who our viewers are, whether we have children listening. And so for me, integrity is really just asking, are you a decent person? Can I trust you? Are you trustworthy? Do you tell the truth, not just to me, but to yourself? So that's why this is such a great topic, because in listening to Sister Angriel talk about everything that she's been through, and it's just that love that she had, and then losing that love, and then going, you really have integrity is about yourself. It's really about yourself and a face to face with yourself. Okay, so
mm,
tell us a lot of things, but what we choose to hear and take in really talks and speaks to the integrity that we have. Praise
Mhm.
praise God. And let me just say to our viewers, I hope I didn't shock anyone, but this is Girl Talk, Real Talk,
Real
Moorish
talk.
Talk. And if you do have little ones watching, just be advised that I speak pretty openly. I try to put a little cut on it, but this is what it is. So praise Allah. I don't mean any harm. I just want to be honest because some of us are afraid to
Mhm.
express themselves. Some of us have secrets that are internally destroying us because we haven't been able to share them. So I hope I can encourage someone to free themselves.
Mhm. I
Praise.
Praise God.
praise Allah. I think that's excellent. And I think one thing is why. That's the question, right? Like, why exactly wouldn't you free yourself? What is keeping you
Mhm.
from freeing yourself to say, listen, I have this going on and this is real. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to be a good parent and I'm struggling to keep my mind right. I'm struggling to be a mom. I'm struggling to just, and maybe I do this and that and decide to make it work. But like, this is real talk. So apologies needed. Praise Allah.
Right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead with the next question we have here. And it's kind of dovetails what you have, Sister Griot. This is a Brit Bay had want to make sure we ask this question around. How do you know? I'm gonna change it a little bit. She says, "How does one know if they lack integrity?" But I'm gonna just talk about too. How do you know when you see a lack of integrity? Because we talked a little bit about ourselves already, but how do you know when you're seeing a lack of integrity to other people or other things or other situations?
I guess I guess for me, I start I can feel it. I start feeling ugly.
Hmm.
Like this is not right. Now let me just say that, I come from a place or I've come from a few places, but one of those places was a place where, you had to have a brick face. You
Mm.
had to be out in the world sucker free, right? But inside, hopefully we all have that, and I'm sure we do. When it's not right, you can feel it inside. I start feeling ugly inside.
Mhm.
Um, and the feeling is way too familiar to something else that makes me say, "Hold up, I gotta fix this. This is not right." So yeah, I can feel it.
Mhm.
Peace.
Mm. Islam, sis. I just wanted to ask just a little bit further so that for those of us who are watching and listening to every word you're saying and experiencing something similar, I wanted to ask when you say that you could feel it, is there any way you could be a little bit more descriptive? Are you like, is it something?
Sure. I feel shameful. I feel shameful, somewhat dirty, outside of myself. Those are the feelings that come over me when I know that I'm out of pocket. And there's a voice that says, you shouldn't have did that. Or you shouldn't have said that. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things I feel and I hear, and I'm so glad that I'm able to hear those things and feel those things. And I'm not just, because sometimes with honesty, some people can be brutal and mean with honesty, right? And will say, well, that's just the way I am, or at least I'm being honest. But when I know that I have harmed someone just because of the way I may have said something, I'm going to feel it right away because I guess it's my conscience.
Mhm.
It's just not a good feeling. It feels very ugly. And so I have to make a speedy reparation and make amends
Mhm.
when I'm out of pocket. Yeah, peace.
Peace. Yeah, it's interesting when you were saying about how you feel. I think it's two ways. You can feel it when you're receiving it, and you can feel it when you give it. I'll give it a perfect example. I'm gonna call out one of my babies, but one of my babies, I'm like, "Did you brush your teeth?" And they said, "Mm-hmm." No, I know you're not right. I know I could just I don't even I know what you said, but I can feel you ain't right. That is not true, right? You know, I didn't say a name, which baby, I just said a baby. But my point is like you feel that. And I think we all have that. And in the same way, when we're saying something, when someone says something to you, I know he felt it too. Because that's not being ethical, that's not being truthful. And I think I think the more you stay close to your core of truth, you feel it even more when you go left. Because you know, there are people, I'm gonna go back to this bank and I was just thinking about that. There was this woman who's stealing from us. And I really believe that she didn't like she was so far from her own core truth that she was rationalizing it in her head or didn't remember certain things. Like at first I was like, there's no way she does not know that she's slipping. She worked to tell, you know, that she was taking money. We weren't balancing. You know, that's just the way it worked. She's give money in, money out. It's on the computer. That's how much you should have. How you short $50 or $100 here? And you know, they don't ding you bad if you do that, but you keep doing it over and over and over again under the radar. You know the rules. Well, then my antenna has to go up. And so I think the more we are staying close to the truth, then we can figure out a way we can sense when something just don't feel right. It just didn't sound right. The way it rolled off their tongue didn't feel right. And I agree with you. Like it just something inside of you sometimes doesn't lay right. So you know, in your spirit, you can feel it when it's
Absolutely, absolutely. So has there ever, Sister Jordan, did you want to?
Repeat the
You want to?
question for me, sis. I was having some technical difficulties.
Well, you were asking me to expound on how do I know, and as I was doing that, you went off. But did you want to um share how do you know when what was the question, sister? I'm sorry.
yeah, no.
When I've at that moment, it's kind of the integrity check, right? It's like a checkpoint when we know that we've either gone over or maybe too far, or I like to use the litmus test of the 5 principles. So if something's happening and I'm not really sure how to respond, this is crazy, or I don't know what's going on, then let me look at my 5 principles. Is this love? Is this truth? Is this peace? Is this freedom? And is this justice? Because anyone that hasn't memorized the Quran or hasn't been reading may not understand or know the instructions that will hit right to the heart. So I always tell people, stick with your 5 principles and then let that be your guide. If it's love, if it's truth, if it's peace, let that guide you. Just start there simply. But I just wanted everyone to understand that, everyone's human, but at the same time, there's a moment I think we all share where we have that aha moment or that realization moment that maybe what I'm doing or what I've been doing isn't okay and I need to do this instead. So for those people who are struggling right now and not sure or they're waiting to kind of break through, what is it that they can hold on to identify that this is that moment, the make it or break it moment? You get what I'm saying? Praise Allah.
You know, I just want to add one thought on there when you were saying around our principles. I did think about, you know, when people say things to you, even if it's something you don't like, you can, when it's hurtful, it's usually not out of love, you know, our principle of love. I do believe you can say anything to somebody, even if it's maybe challenging, but how you say it and can it be expressed through love matters. And then I think it makes it really easy when it's the truth, you know, because it shouldn't harm you. It shouldn't feel harmful when somebody's saying that to you.
I agree.
So how do you uphold? This question is from our good sister out of Philadelphia, Temple 11, Sister T. Hopkins Bay. How do you uphold the morals and values that you were taught growing up if you weren't raised as a Moorish American?
Well, Sister Ravnobe. I don't know. Do you want me to answer or?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't raised as a Moorish American. I've only learned about Moorish science over the last 11 years. Um, so I wish I did know these principles. I was raised in a Christian Pentecostal household with strong biblical based morals. We were in church on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, dance practice on Saturday. Um, so I had a biblical upbringing with the morals. Uh, and I had my mom and family to remind me of who I am and whose I am. So when I was a child, as I remember them saying, when you're a child, you speak as a child, you act as a child. But then when you become an adult, you have to put away childish things. And I've learned for the sake of building and maintaining my family, my relationship with my mother as a mom and as a wife, and then with my husband, all these relationships that I want to make solid, with the desire to make my relationships solid. Um, I think to answer the question about upholding the morals, I stick to my morals and values. So we like to character build in our house, and so it's really important that we have to set the examples. Not always easy, but I think what we do is we stick with honesty. And there are days and times that we do things that may not have been quite upper I want to say it was more lower self response as parents instead of higher self response. And so I think the truth is honesty. Being able to say to my child, listen, I was out of line. Like I was just so angry about this, and I just want to apologize. I don't have any fear of apologizing to my child. That's not the way I was raised. I don't remember getting any apologies. Let me look around and see if my mom is here. But as right now, I have no problem doing that with my children. It's a different way that I'm raising them. So upholding those values, I want to, I teach them things like model what you say. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Okay. Be a person or a man of your word. Right? I need to be able to trust that you said you're going to do it and you're going to do it. Um, uh, just don't think little things. And my children are all under or 10 and under, so these principles will be repeated daily and ordinarily, but just trying to get them to think for themselves, to make decisions and reason wisely and logically, to think it out before they make a decision so they don't make a mistake. But also, we teach that with growth mindset, that they can make a mistake and come back from that, and then keep working hard and work forward towards it. So I'm doing things a little differently than when I was raised, because I obviously more science teaches us things that I didn't know then, but they're being raised under Moorish science. And my daughter was born with the L attached to her name. And so their lives are totally different than my own. And that's exciting to me. To be able to raise Moors is amazing. And even though I didn't have that, I still have a contribution to make to them, and to know we have a generation of Moors, not just my children, but just everyone's children everywhere that's raising up together with these same principles. And then that excites me, just seeing them together. So being able to teach them about the importance of family, teaching them to simply take responsibility for things, and similar biblical principles that I was raised on that are not contrary to what I'm taught or what we're being taught by the prophet, really makes the difference. So with that, I say peace.
Amen. Well, so I'll just share, I was looking at the question, how do you uphold the morals and values that you were taught? I was in the temple through a different version. It was not through our grand body at birth, but at 7 came to the right. So I grew up hearing this. But it just made me think about the people I interact with that maybe I love and care for, friends outside and inside the temple that, you know, morals and values are taught in many, many, many households. They may not be connected or linked to these lessons that we are blessed to know. But I think about how the prophet says truth is one that doubt is our own country of our own raising. Many people have those morals that are required or that they know what's right or wrong. And then they have the opportunity to come into the temple and get fortified with it. I think about the hammer to drive home the truth, and things are raised up in degrees. And so when I hear about upholding those morals and values, I think whether you're raised in Moorish American or not, you need those lessons and those teachings. And to me, that's where these conversations are important to have. It's important to go to the Sunday school. It's important to hear your ministers because they will help remind you to get you back on the path, or as our grand Chico would say, stay on the path. And staying on the path is not easy. And that's why I think you need a really, really great support system to be able to do that and be surrounded by other Moors or other people that have strong morals to keep you there. And when you have questions or when you start sliding, to be honest with you and to tell you, okay, sis, you need to go back over there. That's where you're supposed to go.
Mhm. Praise God. I would say that for a good while I did not uphold them. I was raised in a Christian home, Baptist. My father was a deacon. My stepmother was an usher. My mother played the piano years before that. Um, we were all baptized by the same pastor. And when I say all, I mean all. All of us. He was old. Reverend Dilworth was old. But we love Reverend Dilworth too. And I was taught to, when someone's speaking to you, look them in the face. If you cross someone's path and y'all lock eyes, speak. I was taught to not lie. I was taught to say your prayers before you go to bed. I was I was taught not to show my teeth to boys or men. I was taught to stay out of grown folks' business. I was taught to keep a home. Make sure the home is clean. Make sure that you are presentable. There's so many things. I was taught to pay tithes. Pay your tithes in church. I was taught to go to church and Sunday school and choir rehearsal and summer Bible school and all those things, right? And for years we did that. Um, but when I got adolescent, I broke Western like real bad. Um, and teenage pregnancy met our doorstep. I became pregnant at 15. Me and my son are 15 years apart. And my father was so hurt and just so disappointed in me that with every word he said to me when he found out I was pregnant, I felt it in my throat and in my chest and in my stomach. So, mind you, I was still struggling with my deepest, darkest secret that nobody knew about except for one other person. And let me just say that for me, when you are violated as a child, you try to find outlets and avenues to reach to release that. So I did a lot of things that were so against what I was brought up to. But as an adult, you know how sometimes you hear someone says, when you get some information, you put it on the shelf for later. When you need it, you can take it off. You'll out the shelf, and you'll have it. So many things that my parents, all three of them, and the adults in my life have taught me, I've been able to take off the shelf and utilize them today. You know, um, be respectful, be honest. You know, be kind to people. If you can't help anyone, at least don't harm them. So I am now, as an adult, utilizing all those lessons and morals um, that I was taught mainly by the chief. Um, that's my dad. Everybody called him the chief. My father was not only a school teacher; he was a teacher in life. He taught me so many things. Um, and so did my mother, and so did my stepmother. But my father was really like my number one teacher. He really was into my upbringing, and I give him high honor for that. Too.
Praise Allah.
Praise the Lord.
Praise
All right. Well, I have a question here, which, as we're talking about teachings and lessons, which of the Holy Quran, in our Holy Quran, which lessons or teachings of integrity speak to you as a person? Is there any specific lesson or, chapter that really speaks to you around integrity?
Chapter 25,
Tell me more,
the
sis.
Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. Um, when my brother's in adversity, assist him. When my sister's in trouble, forsake her not. Those are the things I would hope that no one is in adversity or in trouble, but I hope that if they are, I am able to assist them in some kind of way. Um, if someone is in need in that way, I do my best to help them. And sometimes I realize that sometimes I have to help someone like this, not up close and personal, but sometimes from a distance. But as long as I do my part in helping them to try to get to the next best place in that situation, then, praise Allah for that. So, yeah.
Islam.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there are two instructions that there are multiple instructions, but this specifically, just to be brief, I was saying that if there was a Holy Quran lesson that speaks or teaches integrity to me, that I would look at chapter pull it up here, chapter 10, and this is incredible to me, all the work that Jesus had done. This is chapter 10 of the Holy Quran, where Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. And I love this chapter so much because here Jesus does all this work, right? And he's doing all this, he's showing them, he's teaching them, and they're still not kind of getting it. And then he says in instruction 28, but Jesus tarried not. Among the guests was one, a tiller of the soil, a generous soul, a seeker after truth, who loved the words that Jesus spoke, and Jesus went with him in his home abode. And I keep thinking, out of all this, after doing everything he did, right? And these, they turned around and said, well, he's inspired by Holy Quran. Oh, he's just insane, and he's just obsessed. He speaks as devil speaks. But then there was this one person sitting there that he saw without having to. This person did not have, bravado. He didn't have on a mask or anything. Jesus saw straight to the heart, and that hits home for me because that's what integrity is. It's something that you see in a person, and you can't mistake it. It won't be messed up. You can't. It's not dirty. It's clear as ever. Whenever you want to question, or you have a question whether someone has integrity, or you question someone's integrity, you know for sure just by their response and their behaviors, because we know that people like this, for Jesus to see him and know that he was a seeker after truth, he stood on that, and that is what integrity is: standing on that and not wavering in the midst of everyone else saying you're this, you're that, whatever, and still just be able to see straight through and see this one person, a generous soul who loved the words that Jesus spoke, and Jesus went with him and his abode. So I think about that when you mention that, but I also think about chapter 43, and the whole instructions from the prophet religion, and I go to instruction 19, and it says, but he He hath distinguished with peculiar favor and exalted thy station above all creatures. He hath endued thee with reason to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society, and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation to contemplate and adore his inimitable perfections. And in the laws he hath ordained as the rule of life, so kindly hath he united thy duty to thy nature, that obedience to his precept is happiness to thyself. And praise his goodness with songs of thanksgiving, and meditate in silence on the wonders of his love. Let thy heart overflow with gratitude, and now with the language of thy lips speak praise and adoration. Let the actions of thy life show thy love to his law. And so for me, the reflection in the mirror is the accuracy of what's actually there. That's integrity.
Mm-hmm.
That I say peace.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah.
All
Well,
right now.
right.
I
The two
love it. Praise Allah.
I know she was gonna bring in them all. It's interesting, Allah.
Yes.
He reveals everyone their portion of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and as I'm looking at some people's comments, other people have different places where integrity shows up, and that's beautiful because Allah allowed that treasure of Allah has opened up to them. And so it's funny. I thought we would all run into the same ones, and we don't. So when she said she had two, I said, "Oh, I hope it ain't one of the ones that I had, and we'll be in sync." But I have two, and my two chapters I think about is justice,
Justice.
where the prophet says here, keep the peace of society dependent on justice, the happiness of individuals on the safe enjoyment of all their possessions. Keep the desires of thy heart, therefore, within the bounds of moderation. Let the hand of justice lead them aright. And he continues to talk about how your integrity, to me, how you need to act amongst each other, how we are not to defame him, not in his character, bear no false witness against him. When thou selleth a gain, hear the whispering of conscience and be satisfied with moderation, nor from the ignorance of fire take any advantage. To me, this is all about, that integrity that we need to be in concert with each other and be in unity with each other. And the other chapter that I always think about is sincerity,
Yes, sincerity.
because I always love it says the tongue of the sincere is rooted in heart.
Mm-hmm.
Hypocrisy and deceit have no place in his words. And when you have the ability to be honest, that's being integrity. That's having integrity with what you're saying, and it's coming from your heart. And you're not even thinking about lying. You're not even thinking about the deceit, because it has no place in his words. And it says he blusheth at falsehood and is founded. So even when I'm talking about, teasing my child and saying, did you brush your teeth? And they say yes, and I sense it's a no because that feeling, there's blushing going on here. I kind of do the look, and then they go, okay, I'll be right back. I'm like, why do I need to even look?
Yeah.
But I had to look at you to check that, and speaking his truth, he had a steady eye. So anyway, there's so many lessons to me that speak to our moral character and things this builds your moral character. Whatever Allah has, blessed you with, the family and the people, hopefully they've instilled that in with you, whether you're in the temple or not. And then if you are blessed to walk on the path into the temple, you get more lessons to help your moral character to make you where we need to be, that bring out that spirit man in each of us.
Praise Allah.
All right. Have you ever had consequences for doing the right thing?
Mm. Well, unfortunately, yes. I would say yes, because sometimes our self-esteem is it kind of rises and falls with the opinions of others, and we're human. And so the first, or the couple times that you do that, where you try to stand on your principle, and I mean, the response isn't favorable, so maybe you take it to heart, I will say. So, yeah, I've been there where I've allowed my self esteem to rise and fall with the opinion of others. And I had to learn, that's a lesson you have to learn, to let it fall right off your back. It's like watching the water fall right off the back of one of the ducks or the geese in the pond. Just you have to learn to let that happen. There is an inner conflict, and we know as Moors, as Moorish Americans, we know we have the higher self and the lower self, and we know that doing the right thing can be hard. It can be lonely. It can because not everybody's doing the right thing. You know, even leadership or at our jobs, in our temples, in our communities, in our homes. And so standing on right is not always comfortable. In fact, I think it's meant to be uncomfortable because it should never mesh with wrong. Right can't mesh with wrong. Okay, it's just like oil and water. It's never going to be the same types of fluids. You're always going to see the oil in that water. And so I say that to say that that higher self, lower self struggle that we have on a regular is part of that the consequences of trying to do right. Um, and so in the past, I mean, I've lost friends because I couldn't really match my core values and family members with, you know, for what I believe in, and where I'm studying with what they believe in. And but I've learned to surround myself, and I think this is key, that we surround ourselves with truth seekers, that our sisters and brothers who understand what we're trying to do, and that the business of man is reflection, and that they can say to us, and I think this is really important for us as sisters, to be able to say to one another, to be comfortable enough to say and share the way that we're sharing here, the same things that we're struggling with, and to know that our sisters will never steer us wrong. And if you get to surround yourself with a team of individuals who will be able to be like, no, you can't do that. You don't want to say that. You don't want to wear that. That's not you. Or, you know what? I'm going to let you have this minute. Go ahead and have it. But then I want you to come right back and let's figure out how we're going to deal with this. You need to surround yourself with those who are like minded. And so, yes, I've had that where I've lost friends or have had lost family members in a sense of their friendship because of my own beliefs and what I believe is, you know, right and from my teachings. But you have to keep going, and we're human, so we feel. It's not like we're not human, so we do feel. But surround yourself with like-minded people and like-minded sisters and brothers, and we'll be okay. So that's what I have. What do you think?
There's a lot. You know, it made me think about that situation at that job. I worked at that bank because I got in trouble for that. I got in trouble as the manager because I put someone on a performance review because I didn't believe that the work was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had proof, but because his numbers were helping the business, my boss felt like I was positioned that I didn't like him or I was picking on him. And I knew that it wasn't right because I also saw the other person who wasn't at the same level. And I'm looking at the effort and I'm like, you're doing something. I can't, I see this little mistake here, but I don't know what you're doing, but this is not right. And because the system supported us growing, I got in trouble for that. And I remember that because it really hurt. And at the time, I felt, I felt caught. Like, okay, so I got somebody below me on my team who's not doing right, and I got somebody above me everybody wants this other thing to serve their own purpose. Should I be here? And I'm gonna give honest to my mom because I remember I was talking to her about that and feeling really like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not gonna lie. This is what I believe. This is what, and I would never intentionally want to hurt anyone, but that's what I'm seeing. And she always said this, even when stuff would bother me when I was little, she said, stay fast in your book. Allah got this. You gotta believe Allah got this. I was like, Mom, you understand? If he writes me up again, I'm gonna like, you don't understand. She's like, Allah got this. He knows. And fast forward to the end a few months later, the person on my team who made even a bigger mistake, there was no way you can excuse his behavior. It was straight up lying. He lied. He was
Mm.
lying and faking, right? And so I'm like, okay, so what happens to my record? And it's like, well, we'll just pause. I'm like, wait, no, I got in trouble the first go around because of this. We should
Oh,
remove it.
yeah, right.
That didn't happen, but it just taught me so much about how even when you're striving for right, you
Mm.
still have to stay steadfast. Because there was a moment before that I was alluding to earlier that I thought about I could let it slide. Lois was like, well, if you let it slide, we'll all be good. But then the
Mm.
integrity on me, because you have him and other people working with him who would have saw my behavior and said, oh, that's okay, or she's favoring him. And I didn't, I was like, no, that's not fair. This person's really
Mm.
working hard and doing the right thing. This other person is not. I can't be agreeing with that. And so that was hard. That was a tough pill to swallow for me. And to me, it was really a test. It was a test for my love. Like, what are you going to do? And now you get knocked down for doing what's right. What are you going to do?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, my consequence was at a job too. It was probably one of my most favorite jobs I ever had. I was um new to living life like the right way, and I had this wonderful job, and I grew very fast in the company. I made supervisor in 6 months because I was showing up early and leaving late and making
mhm.
people smile, making them feel better than before they left out before they came in. They was cheesing when they left out the door. You know, oh, I really loved that job. And I worked at a coffee bakery shop, and we were out of skim milk. Now I worked this particular day. I was at the bar making coffee drinks, espressos, lattes, so on and so forth. And we were downtown, so a lot of people would come in, would be very busy, and a lot of people were coming in, and some of them want skim milk, soy milk, whatever, whatever. And we were out of skim milk, and my manager said, "Girl, you better put some water in that." And I said, "I can't do it." She wanted me to put water in whole milk to turn it into skim milk. I said, "That's not how that works. That's not how skim milk works." Right? And I said, "We can't do that. We don't know why people are asking for skim milk. They may be allergic to whole milk.
Right.
There's a reason why they asking for skim milk." And I just started, she said, "You better get over." I said, "I can't. I can't." I just put my hands up and I started backing out. She said, "Go over there and ring up somebody." Now she put me off the bar, and I had to go ring up customers. Now the consequence was the line was long because I got them out of my line. Now I got to go and ring up all these people from the bar and from inside the bakery that were or so, and I got this long line. So it wasn't a major consequence, but I was already wore out. I swear I make about 200 drinks a day or better, and this is probably about the 11:30 hour, and probably had made a good 75 drinks already. No, really. I'm not even joking. So it was like I felt good about it, but later she came to me and she said, "You know what? You did the right thing. But next time, just put some more." I said, "I can't do it." We laughed about it, and I said, "Next time, you need to make sure you order more milk. Put some more milk on that truck, so
Mhm.
nobody will have to do that or be dishonest or we don't know. People can get sick. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, good time.
Yes, but you speak to something really key. It's that moment where you have to make a decision. The same
Mhm.
for Robin Bay. It's those moments where you have to decide in the face of either your supervisor or the face of someone who's in leadership above you or position above you, where at heart something's not quite right, and you in your heart, it's your whole physical is just like, no, this is not right. I'm not doing it,
Mhm.
and you have to
Mhm.
stand for yourself. And sometimes it's like that, even in the temple, even at work. even at home, you have to stand up for yourself and say, look, no, these are
Mhm.
my principles. This is what I believe in. If you're not with it, then we need to rethink all of this. But this is what I stand for, and if you have issue with it, maybe you need to look a little deeper into yourself.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and that's some integrity where listen, this is what I stand on. You're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think integrity sometimes can be so difficult. It's not, it doesn't always comes easy because you're right. It's that moment when you have to make a decision or you get a
Mhm.
little, that feeling we talked about. And you like, wait, something don't feel right. I don't want to do that. Or, and then you're put in positions where it's your test, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
soldier never knows. It's strange, right?
Right?
You get your
Mhm.
test and now you gotta, sometimes you're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're going to pass.
Yeah.
And when you're the reason for me, or I feel like you're making that decision because you're also thinking about what are the consequences for me. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what's
Mhm.
going to happen if I do X or Y? And you got to be okay with this outside world, this carnal world of those things. Because at the end of the day, like my mom, all I got you. Because you're right, Sister Grill. I went to the shop and got my coffee, and I know they didn't put almond milk, and I'm 5 minutes later, that coffee got to go. It's not working for me. That was whole milk. I knew that was not right for me. So
Yeah.
you don't know. And to make a decision on somebody to do something that they know is not right or to feel like you have to, that's where I can hear the prophet say it takes courage for the truth. You
Yes.
know,
Mhm.
it takes so much courage. And having courage is hard sometimes. And we gotta.
Mhm.
And that's why when we fall off, Allah give us another test. We're going to check out and see how our integrity meter is doing. Are we doing good? Are we not doing good?
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Praise God.
Yes. Praise Allah.
So we only have a few more minutes before we wrap up. So, Sister Grill, you got another question? You look like you got some.
I do. I do. This is hmm, I'm sorry. So, hmm, I'm sorry, y'all. How do you sincerely deal with friends, family? Wait, wait, wait. Is this the right one? How do you sincerely deal with friends, family, and those that are of no kin? This is also from Sister T. Hopkins Bay.
Mhm.
I guess in my mind I'm thinking, and excuse me, sister, if you can hear me, I don't want to misquote you, but I think she's saying when it comes to integrity, like how do you deal with those people that are close to you when they are not practicing integrity? Maybe that's what you're trying to say. How do you sincerely deal with friends, family, and those that are of no kin? Okay. How do you
Mhm.
sincerely do that?
Sincerely. Sincerely.
I mean, I'm gonna just jump in there. I'll just say, like, when you use the word sincerely, I thought about that heart and that tongue and being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And the question with friends, family, and those that are no kin, I've been learning more and more that sometimes saying less is saying more. Using that discretion that the prophet talks about. Sometimes when you are, I think you said this is real. Sometimes when you're helping someone or when you're saying something, it may not be the way others people may want to hear it or the way you would normally do with someone else, but you give them a little bit that they may need or can use. So, sometimes I think it comes with discretion and love. I don't have to say everything that I'm thinking because that might not actually be healthy for the relationship. And but making sure that I stay honest, I think that's really the key. Being honest with myself and honest and deliberate and in love.
Praise Allah. I like that she said, the sister Rabino Bay talked about the honesty. And the question itself, when it talks about sincerely, brought me to the exact same place about sincerity. And integrity and sincerity are hand in hand because we aren't doing things in a fake way. Okay, we're being real. Sister Greer, I want to thank you so much for just being so honest and so real about the struggles and things that you've gone through because we're all struggling in our own ways. Okay, I am a mom of three. We just moved to Delaware from New York. I am a farmer now.
Mm.
Laugh about it now, but it's different. Life is so different. The challenges, the issues, anxiety, depression. Like there's so many things that we as mothers deal with. Our plate is so full and overrunning. We got all kinds of things. Remember, Sister Robin Bay and I were talking about this camp and their different activities and trying to just make everyone happy and then remembering ourselves last. But I wanted to come back to the Quran about chapter to exactly that instruction, holy instructions from the prophet sincerity, and talk touch on this because it's consistency. Right? He's consistent with himself. He's never embarrassed. He has courage enough for truth. And that is where we are. And that's why real talk, girl talk is so important because you all exhibit courage for truth. And that helps us who are watching. And so being real and having courage for truth is hard, but being real about it and sincerity is important. So that is all I have to share. So with that, I say peace. Praise Allah.
Well, time is out and less is more, as our sister just said. So I'm going to not answer that question because, yeah.
Praise Allah.
All right. Well, I want to thank Sister Jordan for being with us today. We are so excited and was happy that you were here with us in this conversation. Thank you. Thank you. For those that don't know, she's a beautiful sister and she has blessed us with her presence to have this dialogue. Just
Um,
a few announcements. In fact, at her temple, number 34, they are having their Charter Day celebration on July 31st, which is this Sunday.
Yeah.
So praise Allah for the festivities that you all will be hosting for those that will be there. August 14th, for those that have gone to Glassboro, New Jersey, they're having their annual fundraiser. It is one of the best events that you can have so much fun with, seeing the Moors laugh and play and sing and dance and everything. If you obviously want to continue this dialogue or learn more, we have our Friday Holy Day meetings at 7 p.m. Eastern. Sunday school is at 2 p.m. Eastern. We also have our other shows, Sakara's Sacred Healing Show, which is going to be next Wednesday with Brother and Sister Barry Bay. And then we also have our Universal Love Show that just aired last night. If you didn't see it, you should check it out. Brother and Sister Adams Bay, they had on the Bell Bay family. It was a beautiful conversation. Go back, replay
yes,
it,
you
listen.
were.
Did you see it? It was beautiful.
I did. I
Yeah.
did.
So thank you all for continuing your work. They'll be back in 2 weeks, just like we will. And
Okay.
for all of our guests, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. May Allah be with you. Peace.
Peace.